Have you ever stopped to think about how your childhood influences your way of loving? The way you relate to others today might have deep roots in your past. In this video, we're diving into how love styles are shaped by childhood experiences. Do you see yourself in any of them? Get ready for a journey of self-discovery and powerful insights. How does your childhood influence your way of loving? Let's find out. Like, share, and join us as we explore the love styles that define your relationships. Have you ever wondered how your childhood might be shaping the way you love today? The way we connect with others, especially in romantic relationships, often has deep roots in our past. In this video, we're breaking down 5 love styles that might be influenced by your childhood experiences. Do you see yourself in any of them? Let's dive in together. Chapter 1. How Childhood Shapes Relationships. Did you know that the way your parents or caregivers related to you as a child can define how you love today? Studies show that kids who had secure, stable relationships with their parents tend to have healthier relationships as adults. On the flip side, those who grew up in unstable environments might develop patterns that make it harder to build strong emotional bonds. But what does this mean in real life? Well, if you received affection, attention, and felt safe as a kid, you're likely more confident and secure in your relationships now. But if your childhood was marked by neglect or instability, you might struggle with trust or emotional connection. So, have you ever thought about how your childhood might be influencing your relationships today? Do you feel secure and confident, or are you afraid of getting hurt? Keep that in mind as we explore the love styles. Let's move to the next chapter. Chapter 2. The Avoidant Love Style. First up, the avoidant love style. People with this style often seem distant or emotionally detached. They tend to protect themselves by avoiding opening up or showing feelings. If this is you, you might value your personal space a lot and feel uncomfortable when others around you get emotional. But where does this come from? Often, it stems from a childhood where affection was scarce. Your parents might have emphasized independence and self-reliance, and you may not have gotten the emotional comfort you needed when you were upset. Over time, you might have learned to ignore your own feelings to cope with the lack of support. So, do you see yourself in this style? Have you noticed it's hard for you to open up or connect emotionally with others? If so, don't worry. Understanding this pattern is already a big step toward change. Let's move on to the next style. Chapter 3. The Anxious Love Style. Next up is the anxious love style. People with this style tend to idealize new relationships, but at the slightest sign of imperfection, start doubting and even thinking about breaking up. It's like you're always on an emotional roller coaster, swinging between passion and suspicion. This behavior often comes from a childhood with unpredictable caregivers. Maybe your parents were always leaving the house or prioritizing other things over you. Because of this, you might have developed a fear of abandonment and a heightened sensitivity to any signs of distance. So, have you ever caught yourself idealizing a relationship and then doubting everything? How do you handle insecurity in your relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's move on to the next style. Chapter 4. The Controlling Love Style. The controlling love style is all about needing to be in control of a relationship. People with this style often avoid feelings of vulnerability, like fear or helplessness, and might use anger as a way to protect themselves. This behavior often comes from a childhood where there wasn't a sense of safety. Maybe your parents weren't there to protect you, and you learned to be emotionally strong and take care of yourself. Over time, you might have developed a specific way of doing things and get stressed when expectations aren't met. So, do you find yourself trying to control everything around you to avoid feeling vulnerable? How does this affect your relationships? Let's reflect on that as we move to the next style. Chapter 5. The People-Pleasing Love Style. The people-pleasing love style is all about putting others' needs above your own. People with this style are always monitoring the moods of those around them and will do anything to avoid conflict, even if it means sacrificing their own desires. This pattern often comes from a childhood with overly critical or overprotective parents. Maybe you grew up trying to meet high standards and apologizing for things that weren't your fault. Over time, you might have learned to lie or avoid saying no to keep the peace. So, have you ever caught yourself doing things you didn't want to do just to please someone? How does this affect your self-esteem and relationships? Let's move on to the final style. Chapter 6. The Victim Love Style. Finally, we have the victim love style. People with this style often have low self-esteem and might struggle with anxiety or depression. They tend to limit themselves and submit to others, often gravitating toward controlling partners. This behavior often comes from a chaotic childhood with angry or even violent parents. To protect yourself, you might have learned to be compliant and use imagination as a way to escape reality. So, do you see yourself in this style? How does this impact your life and relationships? Share your experience in the comments. So, did you see yourself in any of these love styles? Remember, understanding how your childhood influences your way of loving is the first step toward transforming your relationships. No one is stuck in a pattern forever. With self-awareness and a willingness to change, you can build healthier, more fulfilling connections. If this video made you reflect on your story and your relationships, hit that like button to let me know the content was helpful. Share it with someone who also needs to understand their way of loving better. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Now, I want to know, which love style did you relate to the most? How has it impacted your life? Tell me in the comments. Let's share experiences and grow together. See you next time.